Before this episode starts, I just want to say we are sorry that we missed last week. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, this is Amélie.
And this is Liam.
And this is Chasing Rainbows.
Chasing Rainbows.
This is the podcast where we scream at a mic for half an hour and do our best to make sense of the world around us.
If you don't know about us, watch the trailer on YouTube or on Spotify first.
We hope you're all doing well and that this episode can take your mind off things and celebrate Pride with us because it's Pride Month.
It is. It is Pride Month.
We're celebrating Pride Month in our own homes over Discord calls because social distancing.
Social distancing from miles away.
Yeah. Right. So, we are talking about Pride. Because Pride
Good
Month
talk.
and the history of Pride is really interesting and also really topical.
Yes.
So, it's a pretty fun place. It's bright, it's colourful, it's accepting. And while one of these things, maybe two of these things, has always been true, it's not always been the kind of bright, happy atmosphere that it is today.
Yes. It has been for the past couple of years, but a while back it wasn't that fun, happy.
It's been pretty accepting and happy for a while now. For most of Pride's history, it's been a celebration, but originally it wasn't. And Pride has always meant a lot to a lot of people. And I am no different in that respect. It means a lot to me. And it is a fantastic place where we get to celebrate. And I think that celebration is really important. I think it's an important part of existing. Being happy is important. So find things to be happy about, Pride is one of those things for me.
Yeah.
So we're talking a little bit today about the history of it.
Yeah.
And you've got to picture our setting. We're in 1969. This is the year that man landed on the moon. Long coats and... Yeah, it was actually.
There's a lot of theories about it, but we'll keep going. That's a whole episode.
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories is a
Stop
whole
it,
episode.
Liam.
That's a whole episode we have to do.
Sure, Liam. Wow. Long coats, feather boas were in fashion. And homophobia was not only rampant and acceptable, but it was also institutionalized.
You couldn't say rampant or acceptable, but you could say that word.
Institutionalized. Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that, but not rampant or rampant. And neither can I. I can't say anything, Jesus.
Podcast was the right format for us.
Really was.
Also, there were milkshakes, because apparently that's what people like about that era.
Milkshakes are always in fashion. If they're not, then who are you? Probably lactose intolerant.
I'm sure you can get lactose-free milkshake. I'm sure that
can.
exists.
They do.
Exactly.
But
anyway, that's a bit of another tangent.
That's a whole nother episode.
What, lactose-free foods?
Trying lactose-free food, that's a good bonus episode. That'll be, yeah.
Okay, we've gone a bit off topic. We are
currently... Three episode of this already.
We've currently, we are trying to talk about institutionalized homophobia, but yeah, milkshakes. So, the worldwide, we had a lot of issues with homophobia, but for today we're focusing on America, because we are talking about the Stonewall riots.
Okay. Oof.
So, America had a lot of issues with human rights for marginalized groups. Oh.
in literally every single retrospect. And right now, it's not that good either.
Nothing's changed. Wow.
Nothing has changed.
So, particularly in 1969, there were some pretty gross laws in place surrounding gender expression, especially. So, anyone whose gender expression did not align with their birth sex could be arrested.
I hear J.K. Rowling clapping right now.
Liam going off script to throw some very, very topical shade.
Yeah, very topical. I said 100% tropical. That should be a drink.
It's particularly
tropical shade.
It's particularly topical at the time of recording, but it'll probably be old news by the time this comes out.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Anyway,
we have lots to talk about, but like that's a whole nother episode. Like straight up, not just J.K. Rowling. I mean, that could be a whole episode.
it could.
We
But
talked
anyway,
about it for like 2 hours yesterday.
we did. Anyway, these rules included trans people, drag kings and drag queens, and also women who the police didn't think were feminine enough. You're not wearing a dress or makeup? How dare you? Go to prison.
How dare you go to prison? That's amazing. That's
Police
old.
would take these suspects into toilets to check if their biology matched their presentation.
What?
Yep, it's disgusting. It's
Huh?
absolutely disgusting.
Huh?
Oh.
What? Was
But-
that? No.
But yes, there were also some gross homophobic laws, because everyone loves a good bit of homophobia.
Yes, we
We're
do.
lying, we don't, please stop. But it was illegal to kiss anyone of the same gender in public. It was illegal to hold hands with anyone of the same gender in public. And it was also
What if I
illegal
was
to
two?
dance. It was also illegal to dance with anyone of the same gender.
Wow,
Now-
Strictly Come Dancing is scared.
Now,
She's
gross,
shaking.
you know, homophobia, but also, how is dancing inherently romantic? Can someone please explain to me? Because I've danced with so many people of the so many friends who are the same and opposite gender, and also non-binary.
And you didn't fall in love with them.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, incredible.
Maybe that's because they're really bad dancers.
No, that would be me, Liam. I am the bad dancer here. But, yeah, there were also laws around serving alcohol to LGBT people. Because,
Okay, you know what? You shouldn't serve alcohol to us because we will go crazy.
I mean, you shouldn't serve alcohol to us because we're not 18 yet.
Yeah, well, that's also a reason.
But apparently, LGBT people were supposed to be more disorderly when they were drunk.
I mean, are they wrong? Like, we're not disorderly, just we are disorganized. We're like, we lose
But-
our phone. Like, we
Yeah.
lose everything.
That maybe you do, I don't. But yeah, these the laws around serving LGBT people
Wait a second,
alcohol.
You have lost something very important. You lost your keys once.
I didn't
They're
lose them.
all
I still
meant to
had
be
them.
Inside. Well,
They've just
no, but you didn't
not-
have them on you.
Okay,
Which is
yeah, I get
losing
it.
them.
It's not if you know where they
Yes, it
are.
is. Yeah, but you
Anyway,
get them.
anyway, Liam could be quiet. Otherwise, we'll never get this finished.
Okay, last week it took us this long to get from the intro. So like,
It's because we had a long intro. So basically, these laws around serving alcohol to LGBT people were only just lifted at the time we're talking about.
Yeah.
So they were still kind of had a lingering hold on the views at the time.
Yes.
So, places where LGBT people were known to be were raided a lot more frequently than not.
Yeah.
But because of these gross laws, LGBT people had to find places to group together and to congregate. Do you know what their solution was? Mafia-run underground gay clubs.
Okay. Goals.
And-
Actual goals.
Yeah, I now kind of want to write a really over-the-top, romanticized story about, like, a mafia gay couple in cool leather jackets running a underground club, but that is very off topic. They weren't also all great people. They were a bit iffy, and they did use in Stonewall Inn, they did use some of the wealthier patients' sexuality to blackmail them into giving them money. So they weren't amazing people by any means.
No, but like, you know what? It's okay at this point. If you hold grudges for that long, then I don't know.
But that's a different story altogether.
That's a whole nother episode.
Jesus.
Grudges and snakes.
Well. So, because LGBT bars weren't entirely legal, they were in that kind of iffy grey area, and they were also mainly mafia run. They didn't have liquor licenses, and these were licenses required to sell alcohol. And so they got raided pretty frequently because they were illegal and the police were trying to catch them.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
It does, doesn't it? Well,
It does.
so the Stonewall Inn was run by the Genovese, hope I'm pronouncing that right, crime family. And they controlled a bunch of bars in the area, but specifically the Stonewall Inn is what we are interested in.
Yeah.
It was licensed as a quote-unquote bottle bar, which basically was them saying, no, we don't sell alcohol. They just bring their own, and we just let them drink their own alcohol. We're not giving people alcohol, especially not those gay people, because they're disorderly.
Yes.
But yeah,
We
so
are
it was originally a just average bar or restaurant, and then this crime family saw, we can make some money out of this group, and they opened it up as an LGBT space. They kept a list of clientele, so you had to have your name on the list to get in. However, I did find a bunch of sources that said this was literally just to present the illusion of exclusivity.
Oh.
And it was just making them look really cool and exclusive, and like, yeah, look, you want to join the cool kids club, don't you?
You have to have
But-
your name on this very exclusive list that only certain people who go through certain things can.
Exactly. However, some other sources do say it was to protect themselves from undercover police, so
Which
who
makes
knows?
sense. I think some of them were like, okay, the originals are like, okay, this is to protect ourselves. The later ones that joined afterwards were like, haha, you can't join, only exclusive list, read it. I'm on it.
Yeah, it's probably a decent mix of the two.
Yeah.
But the really big thing about the Stonewall Inn was that they allowed dancing. Which seemed weirdly specific, but
Obviously, since it was illegal.
yeah.
It's
A lot of other LGBT bars just didn't even have a dance floor because it was really easy to get caught dancing if they were raided, and obviously they would have been arrested. However, the
that's
Stonewall
what-
Inn had a dance floor.
And it was for dancing with those drunk, degenerate gays.
Okay. But yes. The police were really quite corrupt at the time.
Still are.
So this crime family bribed the police into tipping them off before they were gonna raid. And this meant that they could stash the alcohol and not get fined or arrested for selling alcohol because they weren't licensed to do that. And then they would also, I've seen some sources, and some sources say no, they didn't do this, it might just be a folktale, but they would change the lights on the dance floor to tell everyone that they couldn't dance at that point. Or if they were going to dance, they would have to dance with the opposite gender. Just so they didn't get arrested.
They're queen of having systems for literally everything. Systems to make themselves seem cool, and systems to make sure you didn't get arrested.
Yeah, well, as I said, some of my sources they have said that they didn't do this, and this is a myth someone made up. But I really like that idea, so I'm gonna say it's true. So that's history for you. I've got conflicting sources, so I'm just gonna go with whichever option seems cooler.
Yeah.
Which is usually the untrue one, but
Shush.
it's okay. But then we are finally getting to the day where Pride started. June the 28th, 1969. The police decided this evening was the night they were going to raid the Stonewall Inn. However, unlike every other time the inn had been raided, they didn't tell any of the bosses. They didn't tell anyone. They actually did a proper raid, which was really, really unusual because they would make a lot more money by bribes.
Right, makes sense.
So, police barge in, warrant in hand, and they just harass and hurt the patrons, and they had a really aggressive raid. And they arrested 13 people for a number of gross laws, assaulting people for a dress code violation. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, not fun.
So, yeah, for some reason, that night was the night that people decided, you know what? I'm fed up of being arrested for literally wearing a dress or a suit. I'm fed up of it. Yeah, I think that was a totally valid response personally. And they then get their pennies, they get their bottles, they get their stones, and they start throwing them at police. People were tired of the constant police harassment, so they started fighting back. Deja vu, anyone? Because I'm just saying. But
yeah, it really is a lot of deja vu to what's happening right now.
But yes, people started fighting back, and there were a few key people who we are pretty sure we have names for. So we're pretty sure. We can't be 100% certain because of the climate and how everyone was kind of all in a big old group and no one really knew. No, it wasn't planned. It was a very spur-of-the-moment thing.
Right.
So, accounts do vary a lot, but the general consensus is the names that I have written down. And they're the ones I'm going with. So that is my explanation for if you do your own research and you find different names. It's because we're not actually sure. But at one point, an officer hit a lesbian over the head when trying to force her into a police van, and she did not take kindly to this. This is probably Storme de Lavare. She said herself that it was her.
Yeah.
However, some other people have also claimed it was themselves, and some people have claimed it wasn't her.
It's like the dandy. The Dan B. Cooper thing. Like, there's a bunch of people that say that they are him, and then there's one guy that matches everything and doesn't say that it's him. So.
Yeah, we have no idea. I don't know what Liam's talking about, but yeah.
And if you do get the reference, please be friends with me.
But yeah, so Storme de Lavari was this awesome drag king, and she was handcuffed, bleeding from a head injury, and she then proceeded to punch this officer around the face.
Queen. Literally queen.
So she escaped her handcuffs multiple times. How she did that, I have no idea, but she did manage to escape handcuffs multiple times.
She's a magician.
And she fought with at least 4 police officers.
Wow, deja vu again?
Well,
Not really.
not really this time.
It's close.
But Storme then supposedly asked the newly amassed crowd why they weren't doing anything. And everyone went crazy.
Bizarre.
Just insane. There was something about that night that meant people were tired. It was almost a build-up, like some kind of storm that had been brewing for years.
Yeah.
And people went absolutely crazy. Another prominent activist who took part in the riots was Marsha P. Johnson, who I'm sure some of you have probably heard of. Because she was a pretty cool activist. But she also took part in the riots by throwing bricks at police cars. And possibly police, we're not sure. She said she did not throw bricks. However, we have a lot of people who said, yeah, she threw bricks at police cars. So who are we to say?
This whole situation's like a mess. I wish there was like some guy on top of a roof just jotting down what was happening live. I just knew everything.
Well, we have, I haven't written this down, so forgive me if my memory is a little bit messed up, but we have one photo of the riots. Only one.
And that'll show up if it exists.
Yeah. If my memory serves correct, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this.
Yeah. On Spotify, then sorry.
And we might put it up on our Instagram for you guys to see.
Yes.
But yeah, so people were going insane. They were yelling and singing and throwing rubbish that they'd lit on fire. So this wasn't peaceful in any way. It was very aggressive.
Yeah.
And the police tried to subdue people, which made them angrier. And they started slashing police tires. They tried to overturn the police van. As in, you've got this huge crowd who just tried to take the police van, push it over, and just insane.
Goals.
Something golden that I think, someone started yelling about how the raid had happened because the police hadn't been paid off this time. So someone in the crowd yelled, "Oh, we can pay them off all right." And the crowd of almost 600 people at this point started throwing pennies at police.
Imagine being like, "We'll pay you off," and then just start chunking round pieces of fucking metal.
And if you've never had a coin hit you, they hurt a surprising amount. Like, you think, oh, it's just a penny. They really do hurt. So you've got 600 people who vastly outnumber the police, who the records say there were maybe 10 of them. And you have these 600 people just throwing pennies at police.
Yeah. Definitely was not fun.
And so for the following 5 days, these riots continued. Thousands of people rioting and protesting for their rights, and protesting against unfair treatment from police. Sounds very familiar.
Very familiar, but this time it's documented way better.
Yeah. Because we are much better at documenting things now.
Technology.
But these riots went on for about 5 days, and they did inspire reform. Laws started to get changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did. Good job.
They did something. And a year later, skipping over a bit, was technically the first Pride Parade. Because the riots weren't really a pride. They were riots.
Yes, they were throwing pennies at people. That isn't pride. Unless you're at a drag show.
However, a year later, a protest was held in commemoration of the Stonewall riots. And Marsha P. Johnson, the activist I mentioned throwing bricks earlier, was a key activist in setting up the Christopher Street Memorial Day. And Christopher Street is the street which the Stonewall Inn is on. And it's still there. Stonewall Inn is still there. It's actually a historical site now, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if it's still open, though. It might still be open. But the building itself is a historical site.
Yeah. It's cool.
But yeah, that's pretty cool. But Marsha actually set up her own charity to support young trans people, along with Sylvia Riviera. I'm bad at names. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing any of these wrong. And they were some people who really spearheaded Pride as we know it. And, they did a really good job in helping organise this parade.
Yeah.
And, so, that, to this day, we still celebrate Pride in June. Because, we're commemorating the Stonewall riots, which are often viewed as instrumental in our struggle for equal rights. And then something really infuriating happened about a year or a few years later. Is Marsha and Sylvia. They were banned from Pride, the thing that they organised themselves. They were banned because they were doing drag performances, and other organisers said that this made the community look bad. Can people stop saying that there are people making the community look bad for unreasonable things? Because, maybe some people do.
J.K. Rowling.
She's not part of the community.
No, but she tries to be. Or at least tries to be nice.
Does she, though? She seems like she's given up on that a bit. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's a whole nother topic. Maybe we'll even do an episode mentioning it. We'll see. I don't know.
About J.K. Rowling.
Maybe not. Maybe it's just
exposing.
No, maybe not. Unless that's something people really want to see.
People need to see us.
I don't.
It'll be like
debatable.
9-hour episodes. So buckle yourself in. Let's go ride.
Unless that's something people really do want to see.
Yeah.
Then maybe not.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the origins of Pride. Every year now, we have had a commemoration in June, which is Pride Month. And
Pride Month is
yeah,
the best month because it's the month. It's just
even if you can't celebrate at home because it's not a safe environment for you to do so, there are a few little things you can do. If anyone out there is like me and likes doing art, a very fun thing to do is kind of subtly incorporate pride flags into your art. So,
subtly,
so like you do artwork which is in the palette of the pride flag.
Yeah.
Which we covered those last week. If anyone hasn't seen it, pride flags. They're really interesting and cool.
And add hot pink and turquoise because they are the best colours in the pride flag, even though they are technically not a part of the pride flag anymore.
We ranted enough about that last week.
Yes.
Which is actually this week recording, which is kind of weird.
Oh yeah, that does feel weird.
Because we're organised.
I've organised
For now.
For now, yeah. For now.
But that is where pride comes from. And I feel I've been very good at being concise this week.
You really have 31 minutes? High five.
I have kept my rants to a minimum. I'm proud of myself. But yeah.
To be on and off. Every other week, Amelie's going to have a 50-minute episode just because she ranted for an extra 10 minutes.
We're just going to cut my rants out and just put them in a separate episode.
Yeah, we are going to do that.
Just say, this is Amelie's Rant Corner.
That's a really good name. I'm gonna do that.
But yeah, that's where pride comes from.
Yeah.
It's the month where we remember those who fought for our rights and we carry on fighting.
Police.
The first pride was a riot. Specifically, a riot against police brutality. History has a way of repeating itself.
And it's every 100 years, except it wasn't 100 years ago.
It wasn't 100 years ago. But
if
when
it
people...
was, that would be very interesting.
When people are tired of injustice, they fight back. They have, time and time again, throughout history for centuries. And people will continue to do so until we finally live in a world where we are all equal. Because
maybe in 10 months or 50,000 years. But people are still going to fight.
I refuse to believe that we will never live in a world where we are all treated as equals. I refuse to believe that. Because I have more faith in people.
Yeah.
And I think that is really important. I think that there are bad people out there. There are awful, horrible people and corrupt systems which aren't doing their jobs.
Yeah.
But there are always good people. It doesn't matter where you look. There is always someone, somewhere, who is doing the right thing.
Yeah.
In spite of everything. And please remember that you don't have to put yourself in danger to do the right thing. You don't have to be some kind of incredible activist like Marsha or Stormy or anyone else. You can just do the right thing in your own lives. Correct people who are ignorant. And some people you can't change. But we can try.
Yeah, you can try.
And like I said, I am such a big believer in people and their ability to be good. Because no one is inherently bad.
Mm-hmm.
No one.
Yeah.
So you know what? Keep fighting. And keep being yourself. Unapologetically you.
Yeah.
And I know I said I wasn't going to rant, and then I just went on like that 20-minute rant about how I love people. But
it was 4 minutes, but
4 minutes. That's good. I could rant for hours more, but I will save you from having to listen to that.
So, is that all for this week's episode?
It is. It is all for this week's episode, and in the words of Stomé de Lavari, It was a rebellion. It was an uprising. It was a civil rights disobedience. It wasn't no damn riot.
Our Instagram is at chasingrainbows_pod, and our email is and email us at chasingrainbows.pod@gmail.com. All of this is in the description below.
Hopefully. And hopefully we
Yes.
managed to fix some of the problems we had with last week's episode.
Yes.
We're still learning, guys. This podcast is entirely produced by the two of us, and we are two teenagers sat in our bedrooms with microphones.
Yeah. I look crazy.
We'll make
The
mistakes.
microphone is in a box filled with foam.
Yeah. We will make mistakes, and if you notice them, feel free to point them out, because that means we can fix them for next week.
Yeah.
So, thank you for watching, or for listening, or for however you're consuming this media. Maybe you're doing a dramatic performance of it to your friends. Who am I to judge?
If someone actually does that, please send me a video. I need that right now.
But yeah, so from us in our little bedrooms in England, it's been raining, but it's stopped raining now, so that's good.
Yeah.
We will see you next week. This week? Next week? We'll see you. We'll see you soon. And hopefully keep up our schedule that has returned somewhat.
Yes. So,
Bye!
bye! Thank you, Amélie, for drawing the amazing art and for researching and writing this week's script.
And the background music that is probably playing right now is pretty funky.
Yeah.
Credit to you. And also, the editing has gone pretty smoothly, as I'm sure you've all noticed.
It has.
Thanks,
except
Liam.
the tiny little issue where the clouds was in front of the chair.
We fixed that now, though, haven't we?
We have. So, goodbye.
Bye!